Well, here we are heading into kind of a big weekend with Easter coming up, and we've got another impactful storm moving through the Bay Area, really moving through all of California. So what I want to do in this extended visit with you is give you the big picture overview on why this storm's going to be around through at least Saturday. Why I think Sunday for Easter, you won't go, no matter what your outdoor plans are. But I'll show you why I would say that as we watch this storm in its entirety. By the way, that is what this thing looks like as a Friday afternoon. You rarely get a more beautifully formed, textbook-looking comma. This is why these things are literally called comma-shaped clouds in the meteorology community. It is perfect. Let me just bring in where San Francisco is on that. We're kind of right in the middle of it. And being right in the middle of it over the next 24 hours, really taking us all the way through about Saturday afternoon, has big implications for the way we're going to feel this. I mean, just looking at the storm this way, you can pick out all different kinds of important features. The first thing you see here, that big long plume, this was the Friday midday gray out, widespread steady rain. Everybody got it right through the middle of the day on Friday, and that's because we were right underneath this shield, that leading edge as this starts to come in where you get your most impressive widespread steady rain. Where we're going to be for Friday night and Saturday is back in here. As this thing moves, we're going to find ourselves closer to the center of it, which means it's going to look and feel quite different. That's where you get your isolated thunderstorms, back in the middle of that. But let's just get a big review on this. How has this thing come together? If we go to the traditional satellite, it doesn't look as cool, but it gives us an idea for where the storm is and where that rain band develops on the leading edge of it. But what I really want you to see is the last 24 hours. And I want you to see it in the water vapor. Because 24 hours ago, the storm was over there. It hadn't even really developed yet. So a term that's gotten used several times this winter for some of the more impactful storms that have come through the Bay Area, maybe you remember if you've watched along with us, is rapid intensification. That's another technical term for these systems. And I'll just show you what it looks like. We went from kind of this disorganized blob 24 hours ago and watched this beautiful formation into that classic storm right off the coast. So a couple of things about that. First of all, the placement's important because it's right off the coast. But the fact that it pretty much was created, it just kind of like intensified into a well-formed low right off the coast means we're going to feel it more in the wind as we have on Friday afternoon, because it's that leading edge right there as the wind is rushing into that storm where you're going to feel some of the most energy from these things. Right as they just kind of appear out of nowhere like that, that rapid intensification can really give you a strong burst of wind if you're anywhere near these things, and we're a little too close to it. The other thing is take a look in here and you can actually see what's going on in the center. Look at those little blobs in there. Those are the individual little cells appearing in the water vapor. The individual cells of thunderstorms, which as they form, you get that explosive growth, and the water vapor imagery can pick those up. But we're going to do better than that. We're going to look at it on radar here in 1 second. This is what it looks like on the wind field. So in terms of the location and the rapid intensification right off the coast, we feel this more in the wind, and you can see it now when you visualize winds. Purple on here shows you where you're getting to 50-mile-an-hour gusts. That leading edge right there, all the air needs to rush into the middle of the low as these things develop. That's what they're doing. They're pulling the atmospheres into their centers. So where we're located along the coast, we're kind of caught in the middle of that rapid inflow into the system. This is why it's not the best place to be, right on the edge when they go through a rapid intensification like this, because you're feeling the formation of it and you feel the winds. And that's part of the reason why it got so windy around here. And you can kind of see where the setup is for that. But let's look at the actual rain first. We're going to come back to the wind, and I'll time out the details on that in 1 second. If we switch our way of visualizing this, now instead of the wind field, we're just looking at kind of the traditional radar depiction. And this is the forecast model's depiction of how the rain is spread out and organized in the system. So there's that widespread plume getting pulled into the center. That was our Friday afternoon. And then you can see what this does over the next day and a half. The center of the storm drifts to the south. We stay in the middle with our isolated thunderstorms, and we're going to do a very slow playthrough in a minute here. So I can give you the forecast in detail for what those isolated showers are going to look like on Saturday. But we're just doing the big picture overview for now. Look where the big main plume of rain went as we get into Saturday morning. Southern California is actually going to get more rain out of this than we are. And then the third thing to look at here is the snow in the Sierra. Just because of the orientation of this, the snow or at least the precipitation that would turn into snow, is getting funneled into the Sierra almost directly from the south. It's coming up south to north. That's not the best to give you the really big snow totals. Oftentimes storms come in, the Sierra Nevada is oriented this way. Storms come in and they just hit it directly like this, the way the storm plume is normally oriented. They don't normally come up directly from the south along the spine of the range. So you lose out on the lifting mechanism. It's not like you're hitting that wall of mountains. You're just kind of riding along it the whole time. And the snow is a little less impressive from this storm because of that. It's still decent. We're going to look at the snow in 1 second here as well. Watch the progression of the storm. This is why I say Sunday we're in the clear, because that center of it, that driving engine, is going to the south. And for us on Easter Sunday, it's not our problem anymore. We'll be out of it. And with just a big picture view, watch the accumulated rainfall totals. That's why I said LA is going to get more. And of course, the snow in the Sierra looks pretty good. All right, that's the big picture view. Let's start to get a little more detailed on this now. If we go back to the center of our storm sitting right off the coast there, watch that location. We're right near the middle. The wind field is just a great way to visualize where the center of the low is. And because we're so close to that, we've got an elevated risk for thunderstorms. And that's why the Storm Prediction Center has once again shaded in the Bay Area into their map. They do this for the country as a whole. We very seldom ever make their map. But for Friday and Saturday, we're on it. We're on the lowest grade concern that they ever do. But that's a 20% chance of isolated thunderstorms on Friday. It makes perfect sense now, seeing where the center of that low is and knowing where the energy is. Saturday, we're still in it, but Saturday's a little different. Watch the center of the low moves to the south on Saturday. And now what we can do is bring back the forecast just for Saturday. And there's a little more of a focus now, obviously, down to the south. We're still too close to the center of it Saturday, mainly in the morning, where we could still get an isolated thunderstorm here. In fact, let's look at that. This is kind of the meat of the forecast. This is the most important stuff. This is that traditional futurecast now where we can actually look at the details. So I'm done giving you the big picture overview. Now I'm actually going to look at this so we can start planning our weekend off of this. Friday, the widespread steady rain, that was that wall right there. And by Friday late afternoon, that's moving away, and then it's quickly replaced by this second phase of this system. That's where you get the isolated on-again, off-again showers, and yes, an occasional thunderstorm mixed in as one of those. And we'll pause it here for a second. This is Friday night. Friday night would be one of the more likely time frames for us to see one of these isolated thunderstorms. And if you look on here, take a look at the peninsula south of San Francisco. It's kind of small, but hopefully on your monitor you can see that's got a little purple bullseye in it, showing you a higher intensity reading for what the radar would be depicting. A good example of how not all these are thunderstorms, but one like that likely would be. And with these thunderstorms, Friday night, there won't be a lot, but if you happen to get one, it is a brief downpour. You could get some small hail, which usually throws people off. What is this? We're not used to seeing that, but these are the kinds of storms that could actually put a little coating of hail down on roadways or in neighborhoods. Wouldn't last long. It shouldn't be, a big accumulation, but it's still enough to grab attention from people. So that's where it'd be coming from. Thunderstorms are able to produce just like little light coatings of hail like that. And of course, you'll get gusty winds with it. And enough rain in a short period of time, you could get some minor roadway flooding issues, some low-lying intersection type stuff. This is not a widespread flood concern from this storm, but the brief downpours could give you enough rain, particularly Friday night, where you do kind of get localized areas to be aware of. We're letting this play through into Saturday. Now we're already into Saturday morning, and as we get into the later hours of Saturday, here we are at 5 a.m. In fact, I've got a switch now. We're looking at the high-resolution forecast model. In order to go beyond this, we got to lose some of that real pretty detail and go into the longer range model. So you're going to see the resolution goes down a little bit here. This is sunrise now. On Saturday, you're already seeing a pattern develop here, but let's go to the long range model because I want you to see it play out here. Saturday morning, 8:30. Everything kind of starts getting pulled away down to the south. Now we know why. It's because the center of the low is going that way. So Saturday, we still have a chance for an isolated shower or an occasional thunderstorm, but there are going to be far fewer. There won't be anywhere near as many of them. And now we get into Sunday, and that was Easter Sunday that went by. There was a stray shower that showed up there on Sunday, came through the late afternoon. Doesn't mean it happens exactly that way. Sunday, for the most part, any rain we did get would be a short-lived shower, and most of the energy for intensity will be gone because this thing's going to be so far south. On Sunday, we're not in the Storm Prediction Center outline for potential of thunderstorms at that point. We will have passed that phase of this system. And I really don't anticipate Sunday we're going to get rain from this. Last of the showers should really be focused on the first half of Saturday. Rainfall total still to go. That gets us into Sunday. One last thing on the wind. Look where the center of the low was on Friday, just to kind of cover that aspect of this. We do have a wind advisory from this, but look who's got it. It's mainly the coast, kind of the front lines of this, out on the leading edge of those strong southerly winds. We never had a wind advisory for the immediate bay. Got windy. There were whitecaps on the bay, but we didn't exceed any of the long duration for sustained winds for the National Weather Service to put us under an advisory. And take a look at what's going on here. You can see where we were in the afternoon. Those are 40-mile-an-hour gusts on the coast, but watch it get better. This is just going to take us ahead, and by the time we get to Saturday, same time the likelihood of thunderstorms goes down, the wind goes away. And you can kind of visualize everything following that system as it goes away to the south. Still a difficult time to travel in the Sierra from this. There's going to be 1.5 feet of snow on Donner Pass and Echo Summit, so the winter storm warning goes until we get to late Sunday. And we're about to transition after this. We're pretty much done Sunday. Monday, we're in the clear. Warmer air starts to move in. By Tuesday, we're above average. And when you look at the 7-day forecast, we still have a first alert day on here for Saturday for the isolated thunderstorms. But look back at early next week. Daytime highs in Oakland will be in the low 70s. And look at that bottom line for San Jose. We're going to be near 77 degrees on Tuesday. Okay, that covers this storm. There's a lot to go over with it. We wanted to make sure that you were well informed on this one because it's a fairly impactful one from now through the first half of Saturday. Thanks for checking in with us here on YouTube for this. We're going to have complete coverage on this throughout the evening and throughout Saturday as well on all our typical broadcasts.